Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfinia. This is episode 302 of my Minecraft survival series, and in the last episode, we did a little bit of work to the Reaper system here in Wolfen's Lab's quarantine district. We took care of the RE, the renewable energy portion, in the form of this fuel farm right here, this bamboo farm you can see currently harvesting fuel for the Reaper. In addition to that, we also added an extension to the House of Leaves over here, which houses the bamboo farm. Now, I know we're not working at the Reaper site, but we are still working on the Reaper. This is all Reaper-related stuff, even though it's not taking place at the Reaper site. The same stands true for the project that we're going to be focusing on in today's episode, which, will also be in addition to the House of Leaves here. Because we increased our fuel supply going into all these Reaper furnaces, but we also need to increase our supply of the stuff that, will be getting burnt by that fuel. Namely, these cacti right here that you can see currently flowing in at a pretty good rate, mind you, and that's because I already did some work to that system while I was filming the previous episode. So why don't you guys go visit past me and have a look at that. Alright, so now that our fuel supply is steady and I would describe it as sufficient, there is something else I want to take a look at, and that would be our cactus towers over here. Now, up until this point, these cactus towers have more than suited my need for cactus. However, times change, needs change, you know? And the thing is, the current rate at which we're bringing in the cacti, it's not suiting my needs. We get a couple here and there, but we're gonna need a lot more than that. Now, here's the thing, though. I like our cactus towers. Our cactus towers have been there for a long time. They've served our purpose for a long time, and I do want to keep them. I would rather, I think, instead of making a new cactus farm, expand upon the cactus towers we have. Owie. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to change up the look of the cactus towers. I like how they look up there in the garden center, and we can't really make them taller, and we can't really go the other way with this one. However, we do have our two largest cactus towers, both of which offer, a pretty decent amount of room beneath for expansion downward, right? I think that's the route we're going to take with this. Yeah, I've got some plans now. Well, rough plans, but plans nonetheless. So, we are in fact going to expand these two towers downward. We're also going to get rid of their collection system, because this tower right here by itself provides enough cacti for the garden center as a whole anyway. Because it's not like it's in high demand or anything like that. I have very limited use for cactus aside from the Reaper. Therefore, our two largest cactus towers will be solely dedicated to powering the Reaper. At this point, I think we are just about ready to go. So we can start tearing out some stuff here, potentially figure out how we're going to reroute some stuff, or actually we're going to be routing and rerouting a lot of stuff, and get this new cactus farm built. So there's a lot of work to be done. We need to jump right into it. I think at this point what we're going to do is call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. We are back. This is current me, present me. We're all caught up, and we also have our cactus farms expanded. We have our cactus towers now delving deep beneath Wolfinia's soil and producing quite a bit more cactus than they were before. All the harvested cactus is routed this way, and we do have a monitoring window here to just kind of watch our rate, see the cactus flowing in. Sometimes it comes in a bit faster, sometimes it comes in a bit slower, but regardless, it is a vast improvement over what we had previously. And as mentioned, all this new cacti is being routed straight to the Reaper. Additionally, you might have also noticed I kind of laid out the perimeter of a room around here. Well, I guess not just a room, but a corridor as well, because I got a bit carried away during that time lapse and started doing some extra stuff. But, I wanted to figure some stuff out, because this new area is going to be an extension to the House of Leaves, accessible from over here by our Glowberry farm. Yeah, you guys remember a while back where I said, the House of Leaves was done? Yeah, that's funny. I'm funny. I'm hilarious. Prank myself. Now, you might have noticed I tore out some rails beneath the cactus farm. Those were the rails that we'd previously used to relocate zombie villagers and cure them because Mr. Wolfens is so benevolent and release them back into the city. Those came from this zombie spawner right here, but that was back before the dimensional shift. Ever since the dimensional shift, this thing no longer produces zombie villagers, which more or less means those rails are irrelevant. So that means that these rails right here can be reclaimed and put to use somewhere else. Alright, I think at this point we are just about ready to continue with the main focus of today's episode. And that means we are making our way back to the House of Leaves to build the new corridor leading up to our cactus farm, to build the room that contains the viewing area for our new section of the cactus farm, and continue the House of Leaves' expanse until it encompasses all the area beneath Wolfinia. See, I'm going to try it the other way around now. I'm going to pretend that's never going to be done in hopes that that means it might be done. Anyway, we got a lot of work to do. Let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. At this point, we have yet another addition to the House of Leaves. So, upon entering, instead of making a right, we can make a left, and we can continue on down this way towards our cactus farms designated by these potted cacti over here. We follow what is a very long corridor, at least a somewhat long corridor, which is meant to emphasize the expansiveness of the House of Leaves, which eventually opens up into our cacti area. Of course, we have our cactus farm viewing area over here, where we can even get a peek of the night sky over there, letting us know that there is more to the world than the House of Leaves. But, I mean, overall, as far as this build goes, I mean, it's just the House of Leaves, you know? There's not too much more to say about it. Now, normally I'd be content to end the episode here, but you might have also noticed I added a little additional corridor right here, and I was thinking we could continue the expansion, you know, down one level, have that meet up with the other downstairs area that we built previously. Kind of already started moving my work site over here so we could do that. See, here's the thing. I feel the need to connect these areas. I don't know why. It's not necessary, but I do feel the need to connect these areas. And I do want to go ahead and get it done in this episode, since we are already working here at the House of Leaves, instead of returning here for just a random side project in a future episode, you know? Alright, so at this point we now have a path laid out before us. It's going to begin in the new area that we just built, which contains our cactus farm viewing area. It will continue down a set of stairs into a corridor that will take a sharp left up here and continue on down to the other lower area that we also fairly recently built. This is going to basically just be a big loop, and it's also going to provide a lot more area off to either side of the hall to build additional farms that might be suited to the House of Leaves. Now, I will tell you, I have no plans for such farms at this point. Hopefully it stays that way. Regardless, it's here if we need it. So at this point, I think we just need to get to building. There's a lot of building to be done. Let's call the drone on over, put on a little bit of music, and get back to work. Welcome back, everybody. At this point, we've got another addition to the House of Leaves. First off, we have this area right here, which you might have noticed I changed up a little bit because we had some slime spawning in here, so obviously this is a slime chunk. Doesn't really change anything as far as this area goes, but, you know, just a quick and easy fix here. But onward to the new stuff. We have this corridor, which now delves deeper into the ground. You might notice I still got some materials over here. That's because we do also have a room that could potentially go right here, since this is the other side of our cactus farm right here. We could make a second viewing area, possibly, on this side. I'm undecided, but leaning towards it just, you know, to fill the area out. But regardless, that's not something we're going to touch on today because I am so out of time for filming this episode. I am beyond my allocated time for filming this episode. But we will at least get to the end of this hallway before we actually call it, just so we can see everything we've done today. In fact, let's hurry that process along real quick, where you can see at the end of the hallway, I actually forgot to finish. Okay, there we go. Now we're done. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and I do hope you'll stick around for the next one. Regardless, I do want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.